Mm-hmm. Good, good. Okay, there we go. Here we have the rabbit. That apparently doesn't have a butthole. Always nice to see. Nice kind of LBGT pinwheel, though. I never really noticed that before. I don't take time to look at that sort of thing. And, okay. So I have dartboard wheels? I didn't notice that either. So many things I don't notice. Now, so where the hell Papa G is, he'll be a little while. And yep, we are currently streaming, so everyone needs to make sure we were doing that. I've had this happen before where it turns out we're actually not streaming. Let's see, where the hell is he? Good connection, there's a switch. No, look, this year's gone by pretty quickly. I'm getting old soon. That'll be me.
Hey,
Hey.
how's it going?
Yeah. Alright, it'll just be a bit of a late night tonight.
Yeah, you don't have to do it for too long if you don't want to.
It's just... No, this is going to be a bit of a rare thing for quite a while. That's all. Alright, now have you gotten the invite?
But I say out updates. I don't want to update Steam right now. No, I don't care about that. I want to. There we go. Let me accept the invite. Here we go.
I'm currently doing a lot I can with online courses at the moment.
I'm trying to hit what I'm trying to get access to the invite, but won't let me access it.
But it won't.
No.
Oh, wait, so you know one?
There we go. I've hit it several times.
Still not any in?
No, I hit it several times and it wouldn't even register.
Okay, are you in Rocket League right now, or are you still outside of it?
I'm still outside of it. You want me to enter Rocket League and send you an invite?
Yeah, that'll work.
Okay. Schema, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, Rocket League. R, O. There you go. Don't know why he's not responding to any of my messages.
Every now and then that
Pretty
happens with technology.
I don't care about that your tournament. Okay. Now, play online. How do I send an invite again? How do I send an invite again?
Press the X button.
Okay.
It says invite players.
Well, I'm in casual play right now, so like, do I hit play online first?
Was I here in Rocket League?
Yeah. Here we go. Invite to party.
Okay. There you
There we
are.
go.
Your car is a lie, and mine is a rabbit.
Yes, it is.
And with, wait, is it dartboard wheels? How long have I had those? Yeah, whatever.
No.
And an LGBTQ pinwheel, apparently.
It doesn't have.
I put
It's just-
all sorts of crazy stuff on there, I think.
It's fine. Christ, it's crazy how big Rocket League is.
Yeah. It gives you all sorts of stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, we're joining?
Yeah.
That was quick. Usually takes a bit longer than that.
Oh, weird. And I didn't even attempt to plug in my controller this time because I didn't even think of it. I'll try next round. So, what should we talk? Do you want to start?
Yeah, we'll start with the main topic of the stream, which I've named it. We've done the impossible. I have somehow created a guidebook that attempts to explain Kingdom Hearts to someone who's never played it.
Yes. You're supposed to read it to someone who's never played it before, but sadly, I think he's busy. He had to cancel last minute. But hopefully, maybe we'll have him on other time. If not, worst comes to worst, I'll just send him the PDF.
Yeah, I'll add more stuff to it then. Probably a summary of games as well.
Yeah.
Right now, it's mainly concepts and characters you need to know about.
Yeah.
So some of the character descriptions, what did you think about them? Too humorous, but actually accurate?
I thought they were pretty. I mostly looked over the concepts. I didn't really much look over the characters because I thought they would just be straightforward. Do you want to look at them right now?
Yeah. I sent to you, right? So
yeah, you did. I didn't think you were gonna do anything special with the character, so I just assumed that it's just gonna be. Oh, a minute. No. Come on, computer. Here we go. I know, prepared as always. If something can go wrong, it will go wrong. Try to get a guest on the podcast, cancels last minute, other stuff.
We've had worse happen.
Yeah.
Remember when your computer decided to auto-update and restart on you?
Yeah, I'll never
Yeah,
forget.
that was a hell of a shot.
I think they're on point enough that the comedy bits aren't too detracting in my opinion. I like it. What you wrote for the characters.
Do you want to see if you can read some of them then to give the audience an idea of what the heck we're talking about?
Okay, sure. I will say though, I guess so. Let me scroll to the top. Blah blah blah. Replicas basically clones. Oh wait, I need to go. Well, no, Heartless don't count because they're concepts.
Yeah, I've got to explain the Heartless.
Master.
Nothing makes sense.
Okay, should I start from the top?
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Keyblade War is nothing's written there yet. Different worlds. There are a bunch of different Disney and Pixar worlds in this franchise. They all used to be one world, but then the Keyblade War happened and they were all separated. Let me see. Keyblade is sword that's shaped like a key. The main weapon of the series that most anyone can wield, apparently. They're mostly used by the main character. It gives people great power and lets them lock and unlock things. A lot of different things. That happens a lot in this franchise. If you can't tell, they were used in the Keyblade War that split the worlds to give you an idea of how strong they are. The X-Blade, or the Keyblade.
Don't make it confusing.
So like this is where Kingdom Hearts, like, I can handle most of it, but this is where it gets too retarded even for me. Like, for those of you who don't understand, there's the Keyblade and then the Keyblade. Well, like, what it is like they use the Roman numeral for key, but they don't like say anything. They just say the Keyblade in cutscenes and whatnot. So like, for convenience's sake, I'm going to refer to it as the X Blade, even though that's not what it's technically.
What am I doing? No.
So the X Blade is the only Keyblade War was fought over getting this thing. It has to be forged, not made, and when it's forged, shit happens. Like destroying the original world and creating all the crap Disney ones, for example, via summoning Kingdom Hearts.
It's the BFG of all Keyblades.
Yeah. The ultimate goal, so like Kingdom Hearts itself is the ultimate goal of the bad guys in all Kingdom Hearts game. And why? Because it holds the wisdom and power of every world in existence. So essentially the bad guys can do whatever they want once they get it. Usually said goal is to destroy the universe and remake it in my image and whatnot.
We gotta admit that is pretty much their goal every time.
Pretty much, yeah. Like, I think, like, was it,
I'll give them that all the bad guys in Kingdom Hearts, they at least have a very understandable, easy-to-follow goal.
Wasn't in Kingdom Hearts 1 or I can't remember which Kingdom Hearts game it was, but in one of the Kingdom Hearts games, there was a character that wanted Kingdom Hearts just to see what would happen. Oh, yeah, wait, no, I thought that was what we thought Xehanort wanted for a while, but then it was revealed that, no, that's not what he wants.
No,
he really wanted to just, like...
One.
And for the longest time, like, his motivation was he doesn't know what it is or what it does. He just wants to see what fucking happens because he's curious. Then last minute in Kingdom Hearts 3, they're like, no, actually what I wanted to do was, like, remake the world and make it, like, good and stuff. And I'd be the king and I'd be a good king and blah, blah, blah. It's just his methods that were shitty and whatnot.
It still feels a little like they pulled it out of their butt the last minute, even though it could make sense.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because they couldn't have him being the ultimate bad guy, they have to have someone else.
Yeah. And watching they get to that ultimate bad guy, there's someone else who's the real ultimate bad guy.
Well, I can get to what I said to the Master of Masters. He's an asshole.
Yeah, what you should have added is that he's also, despite his grandiose title, he acts like a dude bro or a surfer dude.
Much like...
And I mean, that's not...
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, he does.
You know, he acts like... I don't know what the right word is, but he just acts like a jokester or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's an asshole.
Oh yeah, Heartless, here they say zombies really. If you lose your heart to darkness or get it stolen by a Heartless, the darkness inside you takes over and turns your heart into a Heartless. Often controlled by the bad guys, since like, they hate the Keyblade. Because like the Keyblade is the only thing that I think can truly destroy them. And like set their hearts free.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that I always wondered when I was younger is that, like, this is the Great Epiphany in Kingdom Hearts 2, and they realize that every Heartless you've killed, the organization has just been, like, snatching them up and, like, bringing it to make their own Kingdom Hearts. I always thought, okay, why doesn't Sora just switch to using a sword or something now instead of using the Keyblade? Wouldn't that be, like, more convenient and, like, hurt the bad guys a bit?
Maybe. Actually, then in Kingdom Hearts 1, he used a sword for a while, but then it turned into the Keyblade again once he got it back.
Yeah, it was.
So maybe it's like he just can't use anything else.
Yeah, maybe.
No, he can turn the Keyblade into stuff, he can't use anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, the nobodies. Once the Heartless has been, you do a good job describing it. However, I would suggest some tweaks to this. what I would describe nobodies is like, so like there's a like I would actually kind of suggest changes, and you would change it. I would change it to be more like this because it sounds more interesting the way I think it is. So there's nobodies. There's heartless, but then there's the body, which is like the heart. Dark part's heart taking form, and the body has no heart. So those with strong wills have their body start acting on their own and become these zombie-like creatures. However, then there are those with an even greater strong will that become basically who they were before, but they don't have emotions. That's how I would describe that. But like, then again, that sounds.
I was just trying to be simple.
Yeah, that's probably better. I'll read it the way you wrote it. Once the heartless has been created by the body, the soul and the brain left over are still alive. They become nobodies. Beings without emotions tend to be more dangerous and heartless as they still have their brains and they can think better. The most powerful nobodies retain their human forms and have unique abilities. Remember that. And another thing, apparently I was kicked for some reason.
Oh. You were kicked? Oh. Okay, I'll get out of this match then. Is that what you're gonna say?
I'm trying to remember. Gosh, now me getting kicked made me forget what I was going to say.
Okay, do you want to go into another match then while you think about it?
Yeah. Let me go play online. Find match. So let me think. They became nobodies, being without emotions. Oh yeah, I remember now. What I have has more to apply to Organization 13, so I'll save that for later, or I'll save it for now. Nobodies have retained their human form along with their intelligence. They're the main guys from the franchise up to this point. I would add that despite having no emotions, you'd be easily tricked to think they are because they're pretending to have emotion. They don't actually have it. They're good fakers.
Mm-hmm.
Replicas. Basically, clones can be clones of actual people or empty bodies that can accept hearts and become real. Used for time travel. The Master seems the biggest asshole you know and give him steroids. This guy. Loose too. This makes him an asshole too. Princesses of Heart. Let's make this as simple as can be. The Princesses of Heart are girls that have hearts full of nothing but light, so they can be turned into be turned into heartless. According for later. Despite that, when they're all gathered together, they can unlock the door to darkness. I don't get it either. Yeah. And though that door can reach Kingdom Hearts, hence one of the reasons the bad guys want to get their hands on them.
Yeah. Why Maidens of Pure Light can unlock a door to Ultimate Darkness, that I didn't really figure that part out. I just accepted it. When you really think about it, it doesn't really make a lot of sense, but whatever.
It's pretty good so far. Definitely need a little bit more detail here and there, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, after the podcast, you think you can send me all the notes that you notice on it through message? But for now, let's just keep going. What you think?
Sure. Yeah. So Master Xehanort, a combo of Dr. Hojo and Sephiroth, a Keyblade master that doubles as a scientist, wants to destroy the universe for no other reason than curiosity on how he can rebuild it. To do this, he did a whole lot of wacky, crazy time travel stuff. That's just the tip of the iceberg to make 13 different versions of himself. Also, he's an asshole.
Well, he is.
Yeah, he kind of is. He was also voiced by Leonard Nimoy until he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
He was voiced by the guy from Blade Runner. Then he passed away.
Yeah.
Terra the dumbass. He's a total dumbass, which is how Master Xehanort takes control over his body and turns him into another version of himself.
You play through Terra's story and tell me I'm wrong.
You're not right. I think a better word I'd use is gullible and whatnot, and just like really simple-minded. Like I can't remember the exact moment, but like he's like I think in a lot of moments where he comes across a little villain, and they're like, "What about my desire to take over the world and whatnot?" And he's all like, "That's a good point. I didn't think of that." That's what he's basically like. Is that a good description I gave?
I don't remember that specific part. It's been a while since I played the game, but I'll look into it.
Maybe I'm misremembering or mixing that up with something else. So I thought he did that when he went to Maleficent's world, but I might be misremembering. Yeah. You put possible homosexual for Ventus. Why?
Did I not list my reasons?
I'll read the reasons. A Keyblade wielder that constantly chases after Terra and tells the only girl he knows to piss off multiple times. Ends up getting inside of the main protagonist of the series. The whole other explanation that comes up later is the way he is because of the darkness is taken out of him and turned into a physical person. Yeah, that's the thing as well. I mean, like, yes, I guess you look at it that way.
See, I said possible homosexual, not definite.
Okay, it's like that was the first thing I was reading to, so I'm caught off guard.
It's supposed to attract attention. That's the point of a headline.
So yeah, that means that's one thing that's never really been talked about much. But yeah, that makes Ventus probably the only other being other than the princesses of light that are of pure hearts and whatnot. Because all the darkness and it was taken away and whatnot. Ventus's darkness pulled out of his heart and given form. Don't ask why they didn't turn Ventus into a Heartless, just don't. All you need to know is that this guy's an asshole. Aqua absolute waifu material. I mean, I'm not going to argue with that either. Keyblade Master and the subject of many fantasies by male Kingdom Hearts fans. Everyone knows that I'm just writing it. Seems to be in love with Terra, probably because stupid men are easy to control. She's a powerful warrior, though not to be underestimated even when she's cosplaying. Oh, I get what you're referencing. Because like she can wear like stuff in 0.2 of Fragmentary Passage. I was actually your thing spoke before me, and one of the few people to be actually murdered on screen. Yeah, you're the master of Terra, Aqua, and Ventus, and former best friend of Master Xehanort. Believed the darkness should be fought against, and at all costs, and drove one of his students to darkness in the process, who then promptly helped Xehanort kill him. His death is important. Also, he was voiced by Marky Mark Hamill. That's a bad joke that I've been like waiting to use forever now, so I'm glad I finally got to use it.
Wait, Mark Hamill voiced him?
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Also, it was Rian Johnson's doing. It was a setup for The Last Jedi to try and get us used to it.
We'll get what used to it?
That he trains a student to darkness, and that student then helps kill him.
Well, to be fair, he himself was kind of in game because he just sort of tries to kill Ventus first without really explaining much, and then like not really explaining much to Terra, and just so like his death is kind of entirely on him.
That's one of the few things I would forgive Terra for. Is like, well, what other excuse did I have at that point?
Yeah. And we finally get to the protagonist. Okay, let me see if I can make this one simple. Ventus and Vanitas got into a big fight, and Ventus's heart was damaged so badly it went inside Thoros and got the ability to wield the Keyblade. It took me fucking years to figure that out, just because I didn't connect the dots until someone like explained it to me.
Yeah.
But to be fair, it's never like one for one stated, so you can't entirely blame me.
It's Kingdom Hearts. Nothing is 1-for-1 stated most of the time.
This helps make Thor a powerful protagonist, and everyone. He's totally oblivious to his love interest, Fetch and F, at first. After she's been inside him for a while, not in that way. It can never be that simple in this franchise. He actually starts to notice him. Oh yeah, he eventually starts to notice, making him unusual for a Japanese protagonist. Also, unlike some other Square Enix titles, he's like not like an edgy hot topic guy. He's more of like a bright, silly dumbass.
Yeah.
Usually seen as dumb and goofy, and thus defeats people with the power of friendship, making him a kind of male Sailor Moon.
Yeah, just without the transformation. Well, actually, don't scratch that. There are transformations. They're called drive forms.
Yeah. Of Heart, Kairi, Princess of Heart, and Thor's love interest. ... My one critique I have right now is after ... just put sorta, because like they haven't really done much of anything as love interests.
Yeah, I'd say it's all but confirmed at this point. So yeah, I mean it's gonna happen.
Yeah. And the Keyblade wielder, and then again, so is everyone. You remember when Keyblades made you special in the series?
Sort of.
Okay, let me try and explain this character quickly and simply. In the first game, she was defenseless, so her heart was separated from her. Because there's no darkness inside of her, she didn't turn into a heartless or a nobody. Well, not entirely so. She kind of got a nobody, but like that's a whole other...
I explain that later on. Keep reading.
Her heart went into Sora's heart for safety. Sora eventually finds out and sacrifices his own heart to darkness to get Kairi back in her own body. That creates a nobody for Sora called Roxas and one for Kairi called Namne. Kairi then finds Sora's heartless, restores him to normal somehow, who wrote the story, and eventually gets training to wield the Keyblade so she can protect Sora, and as he has all the survival instances of a clinically depressed lemming. What's a lemming?
It looks like a mouse that has a penchant for running into rivers and drowning itself.
Okay. Just like most anime heroes. In short, she's a warrior princess. I would add who ends up doing jack and shit.
None. Remind she doesn't.
Oh yeah, that's right. Forgot about that.
Mm-hmm.
Need to play that.
So Kairi actually does something. There you go.
Yeah.
And Sora does have all the survival instincts of a clinically depressed lemming. You saw that in Kingdom Hearts 3, especially.
Yeah. So Riku, Sora's best friend, asterisk mark, turns to darkness for a really dumb reason in the first game. That reason, actually kind of dumb, but kind of interesting. It's literally like Maleficent is just whispering over his shoulder, look, he's friends with those Final Fantasy characters. He's forgetting about you. Sora's a punk bitch. You should be a bad guy and whatnot. That'll show him. Paraphrasing a little bit, but that's more or less right.
Mm-hmm.
Got possessed by the bad guy, but then breaks free and becomes good again. He becomes a Keyblade master after a game where he sleeps a lot. Makes sense in context. And some Seeker of Darkness, one of the 13 versions of Master Xehanort, and the one that can time travel, which makes him a massive asshole. This guy traveled back in time to when Xehanort was a teenager and gave him the ability to travel through time and gather different versions of himself across time, which of course creates a paradox that if we go into, it'll fry our brains.
Just don't think about it. The rules of time travel in this franchise. Just don't.
That's a good way to say it. Just don't think about it, and it'll make sense. Yeah. Like he travels back in time so he can gain the ability, so he can give his younger self the ability to travel back in time, so he can later come back and give it to him and do all those other shenanigans. And it's like, well, how did he get into in the first place and whatnot? It's a looping problem that happens in a lot of time travel shit.
I could explain it, but we just don't have time to do it right now. So,
Yeah.
What's the rest of it say?
Okay. Parts of it does make sense to a degree and whatnot, but other parts are questionable. Then he went around destroying worlds because he felt like it, and Toga? Oh, Toga, the ultimate power of Kingdom Hearts, who properly gave him so much power that he exploded. Well, actually, that's not technically true. What happened was, Sora said, no, Kingdom Hearts is light, even though he literally didn't know what Kingdom Hearts was, or even heard the name before, like, 10 minutes ago, and said, like, Kingdom Hearts is light, and the light was so bright and whatnot, it disintegrated him.
Oh, he won.
Oh, yeah, he did.
But saying he exploded just sounds better.
Yeah. Also, in the first game he was played by, I think it was Billy West, who hasn't played him again since.
No, I think you mean Billy Zane.
Billy Zane, that's his name. Yeah, who did a great job in the first one, but hasn't for some reason ever appeared as him again. This Kingdom Hearts 1 and then...
A lot of weird people were in Kingdom Hearts 1.
But yeah, Kingdom Hearts, like, it's kind of crazy, like, how...
I mean, Lance Bass played Sephiroth.
Yeah. Who's Lance Bass again?
No, he's a musician.
Oh, okay. But yeah, Kingdom Hearts has quite a bit of, like, an all-star cast and whatnot. Not all in, like, the same game, but, like, from game to game, there's generally 1 or 2 stars that are pretty big. I already mentioned Mark Hamill. Leonard Nimoy is one. A guy from Blade Runner was in it. Fucking Haley Joel Osment has been and always and continues to be Sora. Fucking trying to think, Hayden Panettiere. I don't think was a big deal back then, but it's kind of a big deal nowadays. Yeah, a bunch of big people who have been in the series. Another version of Xemnas, another version of Xehanort who helps Organization 13, and now it's not a lightsaber. He tries to collect a ton of hearts to create another version of Kingdom Hearts. Guess that's a thing now, just go with it. Well, technically, to be fair, it's not like a true Kingdom Hearts, it's more of an artificial Kingdom Hearts. He's killed by Sora and Riku after learning the organization is... he is killed by Sora and Riku after learning the organization... after leading the organization like a massive asshole.
He turns people who disobey him into dusks. That's a pretty asshole thing to do.
That's true. Yeah. But yeah, like in the first when we first meet him,
in fact,
he
sends
like
Demyx to die against Sora on purpose.
Yeah, that's true. Also, we think at first. What do we think at first? So yeah, we think at first the reason why he's doing all this evil shit, like capturing hundreds upon thousands of hearts of living people from other worlds and whatnot, and heartless and whatnot, to make Kingdom Hearts. I think that he's doing it because he wants to give him and his buddies an organization a heart. Just wants to be a cool guy. Then we learn in Jerk Job Sleep later that no, this is all a lie. All of them would have eventually gotten hearts anyway, and it's really part of his master plan to help Xehanort by making 13 versions of him and whatnot.
Yeah.
Also, for some reason that I don't entirely get, maybe because I missed something or whatnot, but every organization member has the name of their original person, but with the letters scrambled up and an X somewhere in there. Like, there's one character named Lee. When he became a nobody, he was renamed to Axel and whatnot.
It's the recusant sigil.
Yeah, it's their what?
The recusant sigil.
Yeah.
That thing put on Sora, an X. What does he add to their names? An X.
Yeah. But yeah, it is funny because the more and more think about it, the more and more I think, what if you have someone with that would just like be impossible to scramble their name with, like Luke? Would you have a character like Luke recruit a guy like Luke in? Like, how would you name him?
Man, they'd find a way. They'd probably come up
Yeah.
with some bullshit pronunciation.
Yeah. Nominate Kyrie's nobody that has the ability to fuck with Sora's memories. A rebellious faction of Organization 13, led by Marluxia, who I won't show as this book is getting long enough. Long enough as it is, just know that he's an effeminate asshole. Tried to use her to rewrite Sora's memories to put him in their control. Yeah, they forgot that she's a nobody of his love interest, and Sora's an anime boy that naturally attracts the girl, so their painful plan falls apart in the end. Yet Sora's memory is screwed up at that point, and he has to sleep for a year. Remember that now.
Shion.
Yeah, Shion. You added a G at the end accidentally. That caught me off guard.
No, it's
Shion.
probably autocorrect.
Yeah. But where her name, maybe like what could her original name is? Well, if you take out the X, it actually stands for number 1. And we'll explain why after this. You'll understand why after this description. Thor was in a coma and Naminé was restoring him. Zeon was created from his memories of Kyrie. Yeah, like somehow they just apparently they say they stole some of the memories and they just can create a person out of that. How they stole these memories and whatnot, how they went about it, I don't know, and how the creation process goes, we don't know either, but it's a thing that they can do now. She becomes friends with Roxas before disappearing for a while due to a complicated plot reasons, and the end is made into a real girl. Also, one thing I would add is that like everyone who interacted with her forgets that she ever existed temporarily.
Well, they didn't completely forget about her since they resurrected her.
It's true, but like
somehow,
I believe a good amount of people mostly forget about her then. Roxas. Thora's nobody looks like Ventus as he is made in Thora's heart when Roxas is made. Created by Thora and Kyrie, he is recruited into Organization 13 before leaving to find Thora. He's captured by Riku and placed into a virtual Matrix-like world because reasons. No, not because reasons, because they needed him for some reason to reconstruct Thora's memories.
Yeah, but that takes too long to say.
Yeah. For emerging with Thora, then becoming real near the end of the complex time traveling rules. Don't even try to understand the time travel rules of the franchise. They make my head hurt. Sorry, I just realized I've been talking for a while. Actually got it right. He was supposed to die in the same game he was introduced in, but proved so popular they kept him around. His best friends with Roxas and Shion, and became a good guy eventually. He also learned, sort of argued he was always a good guy, but he was kind of misguided and like didn't entirely understand right from wrong to a degree.
He murdered 2 people.
I mean, yeah, he did murder 2 people, but they were dicks, so I think it evens out. I mean, does anyone really miss those 2 guys he killed? I'm joking around for the record. He learned how to wield the Keyblade, and thus cemented himself as a comic relief character despite murdering people in the game he was introduced in. Yeah, and if you're wondering how he learned to use a Keyblade, he's just like, I'm interested in learning to do Keyblade now. I bet it's easy to have Reaping Chain out of your hands and then just a Keyblade appeared in his hands. That's how easy it is to get Keyblades nowadays. It's notable for being the only character that came close to swearing in the Kingdom Hearts game.
In Chain of Memories, he said hell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right, I forgot that, yeah. That is pretty far for a Kingdom Hearts game. So, get so
he did still murder 2 people, and he's never really called out for that. I mean,
I mean,
they
yeah.
came back, but in the game where they come back as people, they're like, "Hey, we're people again." I didn't expect that.
And the thing they like thank him for that because um uh part of becoming a person again is you need to kill the heartless and the nobody, which then reconnects them somehow.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of somehows in Kingdom Hearts.
Mm-hmm. Kingdom Hearts, it's like an ugly puppy. It's full of flaws, but you just can't help but love it
Yeah,
for some reason.
and like it's kind of interesting in a way that it's never been like, oh, we're gonna dumb it down, or like we're gonna like I mean they've released like this is what like in Kingdom Hearts 3 they released videos of like this is what happened in this game, this is what you need to know and whatnot. But like for the most part it just like continues to go along with the story. Like we're doubling down with this. We did this, we're not forgetting this. There's a few minor things they occasionally forget about, but like for the most part they're like, this happened, we're gonna roll with it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It sucks we couldn't have my friend here come on. I never heard of Kingdom Hearts, so we could react to all the BS.
Well, actually, there's really nothing in that book that's BS. That's one of the sad things in it.
Yeah.
To someone who's never seen it before, even that book would probably leave him guessing. It's supposed to be an intro, though. That's my defense of it, not a in-depth dive.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're trying to explain Kingdom Hearts to someone, just give them that book first. It'll lube them up, so to speak.
Yeah.
I still don't know how I understand it at this point. Even though I've gone through everything.
Lots of time and determination.
Maybe it's because I got it slowly.
Yeah. And another thing like people need to realize is a lot of the stuff like sort of have been spoon fed over years and years and years and whatnot. So that kind of helps it a bit. But when you're just introducing to someone for the first time, you just unload all the stuff on them. They're gonna probably get overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just leave it at that. Kingdom Hearts, as long as you have played the games in order
Of release. Not chronological order of like release.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, also in Recom, basically nothing happens except for at the very end. But even then, most of it is just alluding to stuff that happens in Burst by Sleep. And then Burst by Sleep happens, so that kind of makes it null and void, you know?
Mm-hmm. And we also made the agreement, Kingdom Hearts coded, that never happened.
It kind of had to have happened, because how else will Mickey know all the shit he knows and whatnot? That kind of does, despite like nothing happening for most of it, it's kind of essential for Mickey knowing certain things.
No, they could have just explained it with some off-screen I did research.
Okay.
Or found Ansem the Wise's computer there.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't need an entire game just to explain that.
Yeah.
That would have been some more. Especially a game where nothing happens.
Watch, there's in the next Kingdom Hearts, it's going to be vitally important that you've played that game. Doesn't become no more.
I saw the cutscene movie. I'll just stick with that.
Yeah, no more is just like, take these fist fuckers. How dare you ignore my great writing?
There's a lot of things I would call coded. Great writing is not one of them.
That's true.
No, I mean, Chain of Memories, that was actually very good writing.
Yeah. There are moments of genuinely...
It didn't just screw with the characters' heads, it actually screwed with ours as well. And at the time, well, I was only thinking a small kid at the time when I played that. It shows you how old I am. At the time, it actually made me question what I was remembering from the original game.
Yeah, it's quite the mindfuck, that game, in a way. And like, there are moments good writing in the Kingdom Hearts series, definitely, and it is enjoyable.
Hmm. Yeah, and it was actually a surprisingly dark, almost horror-esque for a Kingdom Hearts game, that one.
Yeah. So it's kind of fucked up because literally as they're going through the game, their memories of what happened, what is, what their goal is, just gets like slowly more and more fucked up until like near the end where they're like fighting because like they all have memories or like they're all on like confused and whatnot.
Yeah. And Sora gets more and more unhinged as he goes through cognitive dissonance.
Yeah.
As all of a sudden he almost completely forgets about Kairi and gets obsessed with this girl he only remembered like 5 minutes ago. And to the point he's pushing away his friends and going obsessed with it all. It's exactly what the organization wanted. I mean, it gets to the point we're not even sure if we can trust our own memories.
Yeah, and then an entire, and then like Thor himself spends an entire year in a coma and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Thor, Donald, and Goofy, all three of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty fucked up game. The more and more you think about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of the better writing.
Yeah. And like it was at that point, people didn't know like what Organization 13 was going for. At the time, there was just like at the time there were just some group of people and whatnot that were Black Cloaks and whatnot. It wasn't until Kingdom Hearts 2 where you actually learned who they are and what their goal was and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Still think the dumbest thing they ever did was called the Keyblade. The Keyblade, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Not just the X. They could have called it the X Blade or something else. No, it had to be the Keyblade.
Mm-hmm. Well, what else could they call it, really?
I don't know, just the Super Keyblade. I don't know. At least sounds silly, but at least it's distinguishable then.
Mm-hmm.
At least oh, never mind. I don't know what is worse, Recom or Union Cross or whatever that mobile game is called.
Union Cross.
Because,
that was the days of the Keyblade War.
Yeah. And I haven't played it myself, but from talking to people who have played it, it's a game where like 90% of it nothing happens, but every once in a while something will happen and whatnot. And there's kind of a plot, but it like just happens over the course of like 900 missions, of which 6 of which are notable.
There's a bunch of different factions. They're all competing to get orbs of light, and that fighting creates darkness that destroys the world.
Yeah. And apparently Ventus is there for some reason.
Oh yeah, and Lucio helped start the Keyblade War because he's an asshole.
Yeah, apparently they're dropping a bunch of bombs just in these mobile games, and like hopes that like they'll drag people in with the idea of it's a canonical Kingdom Hearts story. Well, you're not getting me, Square Enix. This is what YouTube was made for, just to watch those pivotal cutscenes and whatnot. And I can leave your shitty mobile game alone.
Yes, and you can cause me to write this guidebook that's actually far more entertaining than that mobile game.
Yeah.
I put Ansem the Wise in there as well. Is he not important?
The weird thing is, you think that movie they made would be the thing that's covering the events of that game, but like, I learned that no, it's not covering the events of the game. Well, sort of it is, but it's covering it from another perspective. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
About to start the next round.
Is there anything else about some of the character descriptions I wrote then?
Well, I guess I would add, like I said, for the Master of Masters, that yeah, it's like a Valley dude or like a fucking dude bro who's like, yo man, I'm the Master of Masters. I'm know the future. Shit is getting fucked up. I may or may not be a bad guy. I don't know yet. You'll have to play Kingdom Hearts 4, I guess.
Yeah, he's a bad guy.
Yeah. I know, to be fair, they never definitively say. But yeah, also, like, there's the what's in the box meme for Kingdom Hearts now. You know what I'm referring to?
Yeah, they had to give Maleficent and Pete some reason to be there.
Yeah. For those who don't know, at the end of back cover, the Master of Masters gives to Lushu a box where he says, like, you must guard this as your life until the time is right. And he asks him, like, what's in the box? And Master whispers it to him, and he's, like, surprised, like, what? You mean? And then he says, it's this, you'll see. And, like, and then it's briefly cameos in Kingdom Hearts 3. Lucy says, like, I have a long story to tell you. So, whatever's in the box is bound to be very important coming up ahead. Wouldn't be surprised if Nomura doesn't know what's in the box.
It was just like and Pete want it because reasons. Oh yeah, they're in Kingdom Hearts 3 though. They're in Kingdom Hearts 3 so little you could cut them out of the game, you wouldn't even notice.
Yeah, basically after Kingdom Hearts 1, Maleficent, and I guess Pete, but Pete wasn't in Kingdom Hearts 1, but Maleficent and Pete post Kingdom Hearts 1 are basically side quest people, where they do a bunch of things on the side Disney worlds and whatnot, but that doesn't really. But like all the Disney worlds are basically filler plot anyway, where they're just like dicking around and doing stuff.
They are now.
Yeah.
I mean, Kingdom Hearts 3 was just insulting when it came to that.
Yeah, it was insulting. Like, it was kind of. I expected them to be filler, rather than Kingdom Hearts 3, but even I was like surprised on how. Like my expectations into them going into Kingdom Hearts 3 were low, but holy fuck, are they barely in that? Like unironically,
I believe it was just a pancake. You put it succinctly. It's like, Sora, what do I have to do? Yen Sid, you must spend approximately 18 hours doing absolutely nothing of consequence in Disney worlds. Sora, that makes perfect sense.
In defense, there is one minor thing they do. They introduce all the villains you're going to fight at the end.
Could you not have just done that in the ending scene?
It's true.
Where you find all the villains anyway?
To be fair, all Kingdom Hearts games are like that. All the pacing in all Kingdom Hearts game is very questionable at best.
Well, I mean, Kingdom Hearts 1, the Disney quests were at least important. They matched.
Yeah, I think Kingdom Hearts 1 had the best pacing, and the Disney stuff was a lot more important, and like the pacing was better. Where like important stuff actually happened on the Disney worlds, but like after Kingdom Hearts 1, they were just like, no, Disney is just used for filler now. All the important stuff will happen in either in the middle or the very end of the game, you know?
Mm-hmm. But I guess even Kingdom Hearts 2, the Disney world was somewhat important.
Were they?
And that it was necessary to create Kingdom Hearts.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All the Heartless and having Sora actually interact with Disney characters in meaningful ways.
Yeah, that's true.
Kingdom Hearts 3, though, they just did. They're like, God, we have all these worlds, but our stories don't fit them. What do we do?
Let's have
throw them in there anyway.
Like have Sora team up with Big Hero 6 for a bit, and have him fight bad guys and Heartless and whatnot. How does this connect to the main story? I don't know. We'll figure it out later.
I don't know. Have evil Riku do something evil, I guess.
Yeah, something. Have him do something evil, and there we'll say it's important then.
mean, I guess we can't see Hercules was probably important to the plot. It was about teaching Sora to be a hero.
I guess there's some advice he sort of.
Even though arguably him learning that lesson made the plot longer than it had to be.
Yeah.
Rather than Hercules just telling him, oh yeah, all you need to do is wish for the power to come back and then everything will be solved.
Yeah.
Okay, that would have been nice to know earlier. We could have avoided the frozen level then.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, the Pirates of the Caribbean level this time was pretty fun and cool, and definitely very visually awesome. But also kind of the most weird one, because they really had to they were dealing with a movie that they really couldn't interact with Jack Sparrow for most of the time in, because Jack Sparrow was busy doing something else at the time. They're like, oh, here's a fake Jack Sparrow and whatnot.
Man, it could have been worse. They could have done On Stranger Tides.
That's true.
Which isn't really a Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
What happens in that movie?
Well, Filmento called it, it looks like a Pirates of the Caribbean movie, but it just doesn't have the same feeling of it.
Okay.
That's right, because Jack Sparrow doesn't have any definitive goals in that movie. In fact, he's forced to go along with the movie's plot. And he's right back where he started at the end.
Yeah.
I know, with that one, it kind of feels like the Pirates of the Caribbean movie, but all the sequences you play is just extra stuff that's been tacked on while the actual movie plays in the background.
Yeah, that's basically what most Kingdom Hearts or Disney Worlds are. If Sora, Donald, Goofy, awkward.
They can have original stories in Disney Worlds. That's Sora.
Some of them are original, yeah.
I mean, even Kingdom Hearts 2 on Aladdin's World, they did that to an extent.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, some of them are original. Some of them are they're awkwardly inserted into the plot. Like Frozen's like that. Like for the Frozen world, they're just awkwardly inserted there and whatnot. And they're trying the whole time the writer's just saying how can we make this how can we make these three characters that have no business being the story?
Have them fight a giant wolf heartless, I guess.
Or a giant snowman guy.
Don't know, you can make an entire video on how awful that level was. But Game Theory already did it, so let's not bother.
You did? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they made an entire video on why the Frozen level felt so awkward.
Why do you think...
Why all of a sudden Larkstein can use ice powers to create an ice labyrinth?
What was your favorite level in Kingdom Hearts 3? I'm curious.
I'll have to think about that for a moment. What was it? I suppose the favorite one would be the Monstropolis level.
Fair enough. That was pretty fun.
I mean, that one actually, I would argue, has some relevance to the plot.
Yeah. I kind of enjoyed the, what do you call it? The Pirates of the Caribbean level. Just because I think it did the best. It's the first level, not the first level, but one of the few levels in the Kingdom Hearts world that really feel alive in a way. They can go to town where there's just NPCs walking around and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Monstropolis, I suppose it explained how Vanitas came back in a way that's actually quite smart, if you think about it.
Yeah.
A being made of negative emotions, and monsters harvest terror.
It makes sense.
You gotta give that. That was quite clever.
it makes sense, and it makes sense why I'd be interested there, and that's like why I put him in that level and whatnot.
He's probably one of the few villains that actually makes sense being placed in the world.
Yeah. Have to replay Kingdom Hearts 3 at one point at critical mode and do something. What am I gonna do?
Probably.
Probably. Oh yeah, and also play Remind. That's the other thing I wanted to do.
I'm gonna have to get to that at some point.
Oh.
Where you can actually play as Kairi, who apparently is a good fighter. Then Kingdom Hearts 4, she can go get Sora back, and she can stop him from killing himself again.
Supposedly, the Rhythm game that's coming out is going to continue the Kingdom Hearts story.
I know.
That's interesting. Kingdom Hearts continues to make interesting choices.
For some reason, I'm trying to imagine Sora and Kairi couples. I'm swilling with Kairi's like, well, you see, my boyfriend has a habit of killing himself, like, a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the second time he's done it. And I'd really like him to stop.
Yeah, Sora's killed himself quite a few times now.
Yes. I'm saying less survival instincts than a clinically depressed lemming.
Yeah.
Or those rodents that run into water and kill themselves.
To be fair, both times was to save Kairi, so maybe Kairi's the real issue, has a real issue here.
Well, that's what she's trying to stop.
True.
Now, come to think of it, most Square Enix games don't really have very good girlfriends in them. Or at least very supportive ones.
I guess not.
Heck, even Tifa, as good as she is an enabler to a boyfriend that has a delusional disorder.
That's true. It's quite the enabler. To be fair, she kind of has to, because once he's unenabled, his mind literally breaks. True. I have to give props to Haley Joel Osment for, even though he's much older now and probably a bigger star than he was when he was younger, he's still doing Kingdom Hearts.
And he's got a big fan base.
Yeah. Probably pays well, too.
And plus, voice actors often get a bonus if the game sells well.
Oh no, I just realized his middle name is Joel.
So,
never mind. I was gonna tell a bad Last of Us 2 joke, but couldn't.
made that game die and stay dead. That was an awful sequel. No. I mean, in doing a villain introduction, they do a great job, but then they try to make that villain into a good guy. That just doesn't work.
Like, if you want to make a character sympathetic, best not to make them hateable first. Because it's not saying it can't be done. There's many examples of, like, making a character more likable, like Darth Vader and whatnot. But the thing is, and that's generally after a redemption arc or something, you know?
Darth Vader worked because the revelation of who he really was revealed that Luke's mentor lied to him. He
Yeah.
was leading him on. So he didn't just lie to Luke, he lied to the audience, as well. Okay, so now we have mixed feelings, and that leaves us open to change.
Yeah. Apparently Last of Us 2 added a permadeath mode.
Apparently Last of Us 2 has a good ending.
Yeah.
Basically, while playing, in the beginning when you play as Abby, you just let her die and you quit the game.
Yeah.
There.
Well, what else was I gonna say? Yeah. Also, I heard The Last of Us 2 amps up, has a new difficulty mode that really makes it hard to play. Like, instead of saving one zebra, Abby's father saves several zebras. That's meticulously sit through. And instead of dying, instead of the Manny character dying, he actually wears a sombrero the entire time when his hat gets shot off. Instead of getting killed. For the record, I'm being a troll here. It's kind of funny how there's one character in The Last of Us 2 that's literally just a Hispanic stereotype, where all he does is say pendejo every other sentence, and he likes to sleep around with other girls, and his father has arthritis and whatnot.
Mm.
It's like a scumbag guy, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, Neil Druckmann, are you secretly trying to tell us something about Hispanics?
Well, the people most obsessed with racism do tend to be the most racist, you know that.
Yeah. All that's missing is just, like I said, a sombrero and him eating tacos and being all like, and like having, and like speaking in more in Mexican or something.
Yeah. It's just like the people who hate women tend to talk the most about how other people hate women. And considering how Abby and Ellie are portrayed, that's probably Neil Druckmann.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's wrong with women being feminine, really? Why do they all have to be overly masculine tomboys?
One thing I find surprising is one of the few genuinely good characters in Last of Us 2 is the trans character, Lev. It's like one of the few well-rounded characters, like one of the few new well-rounded characters that are pretty believable. I think Matthew Matosa did a very good Last of Us 2 review where he talked about the good, the bad, the ugly, where like he was like, I think he was like very fair. Said some things I disagreed with, but like he was pretty hard on Abby's friends.
I'd say we kind of hard on Abby instead. I mean,
I think
the game
like,
tries hard to make her sympathetic, and then she's practically drooling at the thought of killing a pregnant woman.
To be fair, Ellie did kill her pregnant friend.
Yeah, even so, this is a pregnant lady you're killing.
To be fair, Abby was probably thinking video game logic, where if she killed her, she would have got a multi-kill. That'd probably give her extra XP.
Okay, dude, even for that podcast, this podcast, that was pretty sick.
I'm sorry. I couldn't. I'm sorry. I genuinely am. That was a little fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, this is a podcast that's debated the merits of Hitler's rampage. I mean, come on. Even for us, there are limits.
Yeah. But anyway, what was I gonna say? Like I think like Matthew Matosa actually sort of said like he doesn't really like Abby, but he kind of understands her and kind of thinks like he thinks like only two characters are somewhat okay in The Last of Us 2. Like, and that was like Abby and Matt and Lev. The others, like he thought, were either like hateable or like boring.
Mm-hmm.
Which I find interesting because he wasn't exactly a fan of Abby, and he thought some of the writing around her was manipulative, but like
Yeah.
he doesn't think of like the worst thing ever. So that I found that interesting.
Yeah. It's a bit hard how she's on a revenge quest like Ellie, but she suffers far, far less mental degradement than Ellie does.
That's
So
true.
it's like some sociopathic tendencies there, people. Is that what this is?
One thing
And
I
that
do
she
disagree.
basically leaves the game with everything she wants.
No, here's one thing I do disagree with. I have a lot of problems with Last of Us 2. I think a lot of it is kind of manipulatively written and whatnot and bad, but I disagree with the idea that Abby got out scot free. I'm like, no, she didn't. She literally lost all her friends except for one. Like every single friend, like she lost and whatnot throughout the course of the game. That's not coming out unscathed.
Yeah, but she still basically got away with every single thing she wanted.
Mm.
Whereas one of the best reviews I've ever heard of the game, it's a game about right and wrong written by people who think they're always right.
I think one line that really sticks with me as a big problem for me is that like Matthew Mendoza said in his review that keep in mind, regardless how you feel of the game, Abby and Ellie don't know each other's story, so like it feels less impactful in a way. And maybe that's kind of the point to be like, oh, look at this, like if they just knew each other's story and whatnot. But it's like, to me, it feels sort of less
Personal.
personal because to me it feels like nothing was learned by the characters themselves. We maybe like it's possible for someone to look at The Last of Us 2 and learn a message about violence and about how like we shouldn't be too vengeful or how we shouldn't we should an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth, or how like that can go too far, blah blah blah. But the characters themselves, they don't really talk to each other, so they don't really know. Like Abby and Ellie don't have a moment where they like talk to each other and see or figure out the other's point of view that much. So we're left sort of just.
Well, exactly. There's no real bond between the characters.
And it doesn't need to be and some people might be like, oh, what do you mean
If
by
it's
like a
just a bond where the two characters are supposed to hit and kill each other like God of War, that can work. But it really isn't. And even in God of War, Kratos actually does understand Boulder by the end. So, dear God, Kratos is now a more sympathetic character than the characters of The Last of Us. What the fuck happened?
like I'm not saying like I said, I'm not saying they should like be Abby and Ellie should be friends or whatnot, but I feel like not having them realize, not figuring out, like not by some way, shape, or form, there should be a scene or two where like they somehow learn about each other's motivations, and at least like that causes them some sort of conflict or something.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
Yeah, and like that.
How does Kratos have more empathy than characters of The Last of Us? How does that happen?
Do you want to see that review I mentioned by Mass Mendoza, where you like mentioned that, or
I'll find it later.
There's something he says that like I disagree with, whatnot, but like he makes some really interesting analysis. Like I said, for me, like a big problem with it is like a lot of whether the game works a lot or not relies on the fact of the player liking and like being supportive of both Ellie and Abby. And when you introduce her in such a visceral way and whatnot, it's going to be hard for people to overcome that hurdle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, here's what we remember. She started the game by murdering a character we loved.
Yeah.
After he went out of his way to save her as well.
And I get Naughty Dog for that scene wanted us to be like pissed and scared and whatnot, but this makes it all the more.
Certainly did that.
That makes it all the more confusing to me as to why, like why they would try to do that first and then synthesize her,
Listen, if you're introduced Abby as a villain, they probably should have done it a similar way to, God of War did it. Start with Ellie, she's a badass survivor, and then introduce Abby, who's also a badass survivor who's out to get her for revenge.
You think I made some good points in this talk, or?
Yeah. And also
You made
points
a
on Kingdom Hearts. That's what we were talking about. And you were gonna give me notes on how the guidebook could be better. Well, you think you still have the book, so first draft of it anyway. So yeah, there's plenty there.
I'll be sure to text you some critiques or thoughts I have.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Keep it simple, but also keep it humorous and clean. In fact, I wonder if I should actually put more characters in there. I never even mentioned Ansem the Wise or Subject X.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe you could mention those characters. I was gonna say Mickey, Donald, and Goofy, but you don't really have to say anything new about them. Maybe Mickey.
Well, what could I say about Mickey? Really, he's Master Yoda of Kingdom Hearts.
I guess so, but his master is Yen Sid from the Sorcerer's Apprentice. That's all I could say.
Well, what did I say about Yen Sid? I mean, other than the obvious, he's a guy who doesn't do anything because he's too awesome to use.
Yeah. But he does do one thing once in Kingdom Hearts 3.
And that's why he's never used. He's too awesome.
Yeah. It's interesting. Now that I think about it, I think the best pacing of the Kingdom Hearts games are usually at the very beginning and the very end. Like for Kingdom Hearts 2, the best pacing is seen in the middle, the beginning, and the end, and that's where the best pacing is seen. But other than that, the pacing can be inconsistent. At least that's what I think. What do you think?
I'd agree. I'd have to go through Kingdom Hearts 2 again. It's been a while. But that's going to take a while so I can get that with what I'm doing at the moment. The course I'm on, I'm almost entirely focused on at the moment.
Yeah. Want to quit after this part?
Well, yeah, so Kingdom Hearts guidebook, that was kind of like a entertaining side project for me.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
It's why I put in all those quips in there so that I could get some enjoyment out of it.
I got some.
My first thought is trying to explain Kingdom Hearts to someone who's never played it. It's not going to be fun. Okay, so let's make it a bit fun with some sarcastic quips here and there. And it took over the book.
I still can't get over the Ventus possible homosexual.
Well, is anything I wrote false?
No, I thought it was really good and really funny.
And I was going to put Riku as a possible one as well, since he spends most of his time going after Sora too, after Kingdom Hearts 1. Yeah, but then I thought it's better to only have one. So I just put he's Sora's best friend with an asterisk.
I finally heard back from the other guy, by the way. So it was all my fault, by the way, why he canceled. So maybe we'll be able to do this another time.
Well, why was it your fault?
Apparently, he originally sent me a message early in the morning that I never got to because I was busy early in the morning. And by the time I got to it, he made other plans.
Okay.
So, do you want to do this? Do you want to reschedule for time tomorrow night, or?
All right. Do you want time to improve the book? I'll fit it around my schedule. Yeah, I have a schedule now.
Oh, that's right. So you don't have? Do you have time to do it tomorrow, or do you want to save it for the weekend?
If we can't get on the weekend, save it till then.
Okay.
Yeah. Make the appointment. So I can probably get that book finished. And have some amusing fun doing it. And is that not what this entire podcast is about?
Yeah. It is.
Yeah. And now you've taught me something. I can write a guidebook. I mean, sure, I might use Apple's template creator, but still I can do it. I mean, I didn't know I could do that till now. And even as a Kingdom Hearts fan, I can still acknowledge how silly and ridiculous it can be.
Yeah, and both, like, in a way, it's sort of become part of its charm, where it's very silly, ridiculous in a way, but it's also very kind of genuine in a way.
And because very few people can get into it, like we can, it's more special. It's more cultural.
Yeah.
Do you have one more round?
I got kicked again, so if you do, you're gonna have to exit, and then we'll do one more round.
Okay. Yeah, one more, then we can stop.
Yeah. I'm going to hit the menu.
How do you keep getting kicked?
I don't know. Maybe Rocket League hates me.
Okay, it's on you. One more round.
Play online. Find match.
Yeah, I do wonder, maybe I should have written more for Aqua. What do you think?
I really think you should write a touch more. For Master of Masters, but if you want to leave it at he's an asshole, that's it. That'd be also be pretty funny.
One, I don't know much else about him, and two, I'm not sure how much else I could say without spoiling too much.
It is fair. It is fair. It is supposed
And what
to
I
be
wrote is true. He is a massive asshole.
Yeah. It's quite the dick.
And then Lucio. He's his apprentice, so he's an asshole too. Maybe I could have put Marluxia's profile and revealed that he was originally a woman.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. I think I might have heard that somewhere.
Yeah. The developers didn't want all the villains to be female, so they just made him a dude.
Fair.
But kept the basic design.
Yeah.
So instead of all women being the bad guys, we got a sissy dude
Wasn't
with
there only
roses.
one other woman in Dream Drop, and not Dream Drop, and Chain of Memories? One other woman in Chain of Memories, anyway.
Hmm?
Wasn't there only one other woman in Chain of Memories?
Yeah.
But why would having two women be too much?
I don't know. You ask them. That's like asking, why did Dream Drop Distance turn into Nintendogs? I don't know. Just ask them.
Yeah. Maybe they really like Nintendogs.
Or how when you do a new game plus, you can have the dinosaur dream meter with you.
That's a good point.
So when you're on the level where a dinosaur is chasing you, you have a dinosaur on your side as well. It's kind of weird. And then you fight young Xehanort, is one of the most annoying bosses in the whole franchise.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Something started playing in the background of my computer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna think we're the blue team. We might be losing right now. Yeah, we're losing, but we get back. Here we go. Sorry we're so quiet right now. Rocket League makes us very focused.
Mm-hmm. And usually we're thinking something else to say.
Yeah.
I mean, Kingdom Hearts, we've said all we need to for now. It's just fixing the book up.
Yeah.
So it could be released into the wild, knows the internet.
Yep. Good. They're really good.
No. There you go. Okay, how about Ansem, the Secret Darkness? Do you think you have any more quips for him?
I would say maybe like he's the real Ansem, we swear. And then like when you get to Ansem, why he said we lied, this is the real Ansem.
No.
We lost, but it was a fun game. Okay, I'm gonna head out for now. Is that all right?
Yeah, let's go as well.
Pretty fun. Next time, we promise we'll educate someone on Kingdom Hearts. I screwed up this time, but we won't screw up next time. See you next weekend, everyone. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Have a great night or morning.